Hey there, in this video I'll walk you through an automation that you can sell to recruitment firms. As always, you can download the free blueprint in the description. Okay, so this is the base automation that I'm talking about, and the idea of this automation is basically to build a system that generates placements for recruitment firms and that therefore you can sell to them. Step by step, what we're going to do in this video is just first, the idea is to scrape LinkedIn jobs that match the criteria of the recruitment firm. So ideally the recruitment firm will be placing for some kind of job, and the idea is to scrape a LinkedIn job list that contains all of those jobs that suit that criteria. Now, after that, we will narrow down the search using AI, an AI node inside NetEnt. Then we'll find the emails of the people that posted the jobs, the shortened list of jobs that we have. And then the final step would be to craft a personalized email to contact these people and then upload those emails or those contacts to a campaign in Instantly, Smartly, or any other sending platform that will allow you to contact these people. So moving on to the NetEnt automation, basically the first step here is a form submission. This form, what it does is it contains just a field in which the person will input the LinkedIn search URL. So as I said, we have a list of jobs that we want to scrape. In this case, we want to find people who are looking for network engineers in the US, and you can also use the rest of the filters to narrow down the search. Now to scrape those jobs, what we're going to do is use Apify. Apify, as you may know, is just a marketplace in which people post their scrapers, and we will use just one of them to scrape all of those jobs and then try to find the emails for the people that posted those jobs. But in a nutshell, what we're going to do, as I mentioned, is in a form input the LinkedIn search URL. So take the URL from the LinkedIn search that I just showed you and input it here. Then we will scrape the jobs out of that list. In here, I put a limit of 100 items, but you can scrape all of them. We had 260 results for that specific case. And then I have this AI node, which purpose is to narrow down the search. So here I am prompting the AI that I am a recruitment firm looking to place for the following job description. I inputted the specific job description. So the LinkedIn search that we have at the beginning is a very broad search. And here what we're going to do is try to narrow down the results that we're getting. So I inputted the whole qualifications that I'm trying to place for, and also mapped the whole job description that comes from the previous scrape. The output of this is going to be a JSON format, which contains a verdict field, which is true or false. True if the job meets the criteria that we're trying to place for, and false if it doesn't. You can see here that out of the 101 items that I passed through the AI, only 10 were valid. So I'm filtering here by the content verdict is equal to true, and also if the job poster profile URL is not empty. So only 10 of them met that criteria. And once I have that, I'm trying to find the email of those people using an email finder. So an email finder is just a software that you input some data to, and this is gonna get out a list of emails. Out of the 101 items that went through an email finder, only 9 had valid emails. So when we pass that through this filter, we're going to get only 9 emails, and then we're just going to craft a dream email. The dream email would be, hey, the full person name, notice you're hiring for the specific title they're hiring for. I have a fully vetted candidate for you, no cost unless you hire, worth a 20-minute chat. And the idea would be to send this email right away. In this case, I'm just adding it to a database, and that database is this one. Right, so first step is going to be to add the on form submission. You can always switch the trigger to suit your needs, but in this case, I'm just inputting a form with the LinkedIn URL in it. So here the trigger, we're just gonna give it a title, so form submission, for instance. I will leave the description blank or just put test, and then add the form element. In this case, we want the LinkedIn search URL, and the placeholder is going to be URL. I'm also putting this as a required field because otherwise the automation is not going to work. Then after that, we have to add an HTTP request to Apify. And to do that, we have to go to Apify. In particular, we have to go to the API docs. So you just go to Google, search for Apify API docs. And once you have that, you will try to find the endpoint that runs the actor. In this case, we're going to use this one because we want to run the actor synchronously with input and also get the dataset items out of the response from the endpoint. You can see here on the right side, the curl request. We can copy this call request right here and paste it in the HTTP request here in initn, and this will set this up for us. So you can see that the method is already posted, the URL is okay. The only thing missing is finding the actor ID. So let's go to Apify and try to find the scraper that I used. So LinkedIn jobs, the specific scraper that I used, there are a bunch of them. Some of them vary in the types of inputs that they receive. Some of them are more sophisticated. In this case, I just kept it simple and just used this one. This one is $1 per 1,000 results. And then the input that it is expecting is the URLs of the LinkedIn job search page. And also some extra booleans, some extra fields, but these are optional. So let's go to JSON example, and here we have the JSON body that this should accept. So now let's go to initn, go to, well, we're missing here the authentication token, but we'll retrieve that in a second. And now I will add, I'm gonna use JSON and just input the whole JSON body here. Actually, we shouldn't use this one because this is the one that we are getting from the form, right? So let's execute this once. And this is just gonna pop up in the form where I have to input the LinkedIn search. I don't know if you're seeing this, but I'm just gonna submit the form. And here we have an execution that is ready to be mapped. So here we connect that and just drag and drop the LinkedIn search here, right? Oh, I did it. Oh no. Okay, I messed it up before, but now let's drag and drop this here. Good. So now we have the body ready. Let's try to execute this. Let's spin this before, so we don't have to execute or input the form again, but let's use the previous execution and let's try to scrape it. So we're getting now an error. Oh, okay, we were missing the ID. So here, let's go to the specific scraper, and in the URL, which you are not seeing right now, you should find the ID of this specific scraper. So we're gonna put that here in the URL of the endpoint, and then we also have to input here our token. Okay, we're missing a lot of things. So to get the API key, we should go to the Apify, your Apify account. Let's go to settings, API and integrations, and then just use your own token. I'm gonna have to erase this one, but yeah, whatever. Actually, let's just create a new token. No expiration dates, create, and let's use I don't know, whichever. So this one, input it here, and this should work now, right? Let's save this for once. Now it's executing, and yeah, it is scraping. So let's wait for a second. Okay, while this finishes scraping, I'm just gonna go ahead and add the message model request of OpenAI. Message model. So here, in order to set this up, you have to connect your OpenAI account and have some credits in it. Then yeah, operation is gonna be message model, and we are gonna add 2 prompts. The first one is the system prompt, in which I'm gonna say you are a helpful assistant. And then we're gonna add another message, which is gonna be a user message with the whole prompt that we want to use. So in this case, I'm just gonna copy and paste the one that I'm using here. You can pause the video and take a look at this in detail, but let's just use the same. And here, the nice part about this is that we can see an example. So out of the previous HTTP request or the scraping, we are passing the whole JSON object. You can also narrow this down and specifically add the data that is required here. So for instance, you can only input the description of the job description text, maybe the job poster title, maybe the company description, etc. I'm just inputting the whole JSON object because nowadays AI has a very big context window, in particular because I'm now using GPT-5. So GPT-5 has no problem processing this, and it just makes my life easier to just input the whole JSON. I'm actually going to use the GPT-5 mini and also output content as JSON. Right, so right before this, let me add a limit to this. I don't want to run the whole 101 items. I just want to do it for 1. Oh. So let's add a limit. Max items 1, yes. And this went here. Let's just connect this here. So max items 1. Let me just pin this as well, so we don't have to scrape all over again. And we should only get out of this 1 and process through AI only 1 inputs. Let's execute this again, and let's see what happens. So we're using the previous scrape data. We're only limiting to 1 item, and now AI is working. You can see that the verdict in particular was false for this one. So we're gonna have to change something here. Let me try and process 10 instead, and let's hope that one of them is actually true. So let's execute this again. 10 items, and this is gonna take a while because it is gonna process for every single item, but let's just wait. Okay, so this just finished processing, and let's add a filter to figure out if some of these items, or at least one of these items, is actually valid for us. So let's add a filter. Now in the filter, we should input the verdict. So verdict has to be equal to true. Let's just execute, well, let's spin this before and execute the workflow again. Okay, 2 items out of the 10 items were true, right? So now we have the 2 job posts that actually meet our very specific criteria. And now what we want to do is find the emails of the people that posted these jobs to then reach out to them. So in order to do that, we're going to use any email finder. So let's go to any email finder, to the API docs in particular. So let's go to API, try any email finder API, and we want to find emails by LinkedIn URL here. Why? Because why we can't find by LinkedIn URL? Because we are getting that information out of this initial scrape, right? So if you see here, this scrape, one of the data that we're getting from this out of every item is the job poster profile URL. So this is the URL to the person that posted that job. Yeah, so here he is, Brandon Barudi. He's the guy who posted that specific job, this one. And now we will try to find the email of this guy and email him with our proposal. Okay, so let's go to the filter, and also in this filter I have to add the condition that this particular field that I'm mentioning, so the URL of the guy who posted, is valid, right? Or exists at least. So I'm now verifying both of the conditions, and let's see if we are now getting those 2 items out of the filter. Okay, so I had to run the AI again, unpin it and run it again. We have the 10 items here, and then after the filter that we're doing, so we're filtering by the verdict equal true and that the job poster profile URL exists. And when we pass the information through that filter, we only keep 1 item, which is perfect for what we want. Now what we have to do is actually go through any email finder and find the email for that person. So I'm gonna go to any email finder, and here I have the call request needed to execute this endpoint. So I'm gonna go ahead, copy this, go and add an HTTP request in init, input the call request, and here we have this whole thing set up already. So this is the URL of the endpoint. I'm missing the API key here in the authorization header, and these are the body parameters it is trying to receive. So the LinkedIn URL, in this case, the LinkedIn URL is going to be the one that we scraped, right? So the profile URL for that guy here, and we should get out of this ideally the email of this guy. So let me just now add the API key for this. So this is my API key. I'm gonna have to rotate it again after the video, but now we have it. So this should work right now. Let me just pin the data and let's run this again. So I'm executing the workflow again. We only kept one and we are getting one item out of this. Hopefully this has the email. Well, it wasn't able to find this email, which is a pity. So we're gonna have to be a bit softer here with the conditions that we're trying to meet. Let me just eliminate one of the qualifications and also some other specifications in the role. And let's try to get more results out of the OpenAI nodes and also find more emails. So let's run this thing again. It is gonna load again the OpenAI node. We should get more items that get the verdict as true out of the OpenAI node, but let's see. Okay, so after I modified the prompt to be a bit lighter on the requirements, now we have 7 items that went through the filter of whether or not this is true. And then we are trying to find emails for those 7 items, right? So some of them are gonna have emails, some of them are not, and we have to filter that out. So let's add a filter, right? Let's add a new filter, and I should now include a condition where email exists. If email exists, then this goes through. If it doesn't exist, we just have to discard that lead. So yeah, this is essentially it. Now what we're gonna do is add a node in which we're gonna add the email that we want to send to these people. So let's craft this. This is going to be email and this string, or the email is going to be the following. So here, well, I have to execute this again. So let's pin this data here. Also pin this. I don't want to keep finding emails, the same emails, and execute this again. All right. Okay, so we kept 6 out of the 7 items, so 6 had emails, right? And now what we want to do is craft the email. So I want to say, hey, a person full name, hey, person full name, comma, I have vetted candidates for the following job. And here for the following job. And I'm going to include the job title here. So network engineer. So I have vetted candidates for the following job, but network engineer here. Okay, so what I'm telling the prospect or the hiring manager is, hey, hiring manager, I have vetted candidates for the following job, your job. Would you be open to discuss this in a short call? Of course, this is a very basic email, but you can modify this or basically have an AI node to write this as well. You have all of this data that you have from the previous notes in order to modify and personalize further this email. I'm just going to use this one for the example. So now that we have this is gonna craft an email, a separate email for the 6 items that I have here. And what I want to do now is either send it directly to the person, or in this case, I'm going to store it in a Google Sheets. So Google Sheets, go to append a row in a Sheets. And let's just append rows to this one, right? So I'm going to erase this just for you to see. Oh, wait. No, actually, no. I'm just going to append more, or just maybe create a new one. I'm going to create a new one. So go here, create a new Sheets demo video. And I want to get the name, the email, the copy, and the job they are hiring for. So job. Right, so now we go here And let's just pick the right documents. Demo video. I'm gonna pick the sheet. It's this one. Now it is trying to fetch the columns, and here it is. So now we have, the only thing we have to do is just map it. So out of the filter here, we have to put the person full name, the email, this email right here is the copy actually. So this is the copy for that guy, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, there's something here. Yeah, okay. I'll try to execute this after I finish mapping, and let's see if it works. So, and then the job they're placing for, which is here. Out of the first scrape, or I can actually find it here. No, I need to find it in the first scrape. So title here, and that's it. So this should populate our spreadsheet with the 6 items. And let's run this again. I'm gonna have this pinned because I don't want to run again the HTTP request to Apify or to any mail finder or OpenAI. I'm just gonna use the same data that I already used, and let's try to populate our Google Sheets, right? So I hit execute, and this should start appending. Supposedly it finished, so let's see. Yeah, so here it is. You can also format this nicely, but the main idea is that you have a list of leads to contact along with the copy to use to contact them. And this should be very, very valuable for a recruitment firm that you're trying to close as a client, because this actually gets them sales or placements, which is the way they make money. So that was the whole automation, basically, in a nutshell. You can also modify this to your liking. Yeah, the possibilities here are endless. You can do a bunch of things. You can use different types of APIs to do the same thing. But the main idea is that you first need to scrape LinkedIn jobs. Then you narrow down the search using AI. If the job they're trying to place for is very, very, very specific, as it was the case for this prospect of mine, then you have to narrow down the search using AI, or that's the way I did it. Then you find the emails using some kind of software. I used any email finder. You can use, I think there's one called Hunter.io. Well, there are a bunch of them. A lot of them are very expensive, so try to find the right software to use. And then after you have the emails of these people, just craft a personalized message to contact these people and ideally land them a placement so you can also make money with them. And that's it. So hopefully you liked it, and see you in the next video.